Hello, Teacher Jet. I'm back. Just wanted to send a short message. Actually, no, this will not be a short message. This will be a long message. I hope you slept well last night. I was thinking about you after we got off of the phone or camera. Um, I hope your training went well today. Hope you're not too tired and have time to listen to this message before going to sleep tonight. Um, it's not real hot out here, but I'm wearing a hoodie because I wanted to wear my new hoodie. This is I don't really know what this symbol means, but if you look at the arms, it says glass beams. It's great, and it's actually quite comfortable. I like it. I am drinking another bottle of wine because I got the email today telling me when I was going to go to work. I am flying out to work on Wednesday. Right now it is Sunday night here, so I have 2 more days at home and then I'll be heading out to work. I do not know if it's going to be for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. If I had to guess, I would assume probably 4 weeks, but I haven't asked my boss, and I probably won't. I'll probably just go to work and see what happens. I don't have to order any, if we do go to Curacao, I won't have to order any SIM cards. What I used to do whenever I'd work overseas is I would get a foreign SIM card sent to me, and then I would use it. But my phone doesn't use SIM cards. It might have a SIM card slot, but I don't plan on using a physical SIM card. I would use what's called an eSIM, and then also my normal cell phone provider also has a program where I can just keep my normal cell service with unlimited data and things and unlimited texting. The same. It's just a little more expensive than actually swapping to an eSIM. So I will still have options even when we go to Curacao. If we do end up going to Curacao, I still don't know. But yeah, I didn't do much today. I watered all the plants in the front yard because it's still been unseasonably hot here. So I wanted to make sure everything up there had plenty of water, and I'll probably water them again the day before I leave. I checked the water levels for everything over here in the greenhouse area. Everything looked good except for the sedum acre, the little ground cover seedlings that I'm trying to grow. Those were kind of dry, so I gave them some water, and I did a little more pruning. I still just don't like pruning, but judging from how the plants look, they really like the pruning process, so I might keep doing it. But I just spent the last hour watching our video call from yesterday, and man, it's just kind of unbelievable, just how gorgeous and like alluring you are. During the call, if I wasn't looking away trying to organize my thoughts, I was trying to speak directly in the camera, so I wasn't looking at you. I couldn't see your response, your facial expressions, your responses to me in real time. But as I was watching it, I could see all your facial expressions and your body language and everything, and it was just fantastic. I really like it. It's great. I wish we could have video calls every day. One thing that stuck out in the call is our our discussions on physical intimacy. You know, that's kind of been a big subject considering the subject matter. Hold on, let me charge this laptop up here. One moment, please. I have the Chromebook charger here. Let's try it out, I guess. Plug that in. Okay, make the little Apple noise. Okay. Can't remember what I just said, but we had been talking about intimacies, and primarily physical intimacies. And I kind of got the feeling in a couple of spots that, like, maybe you didn't really believe what I was saying about certain things. And of course, there's a lot of things that, we haven't really talked about, So I'm going to spend right now talking about intimacy in my life. And I'll start off by saying that I have only had 3 what I would call relationships. I believe you might have said the word formal, and I kind of like that idea. So 3 formal relationships in my life, of which this is one. So once you put this one with my marriage, which would naturally be considered one, well, now we're down to only one left over. And half of that one occurred in my teenage years, so I don't really even try to count that one, but I want to talk about them. And I think after I talk about them, you will realize that when you compare and or contrast your experience in life with emotional and physical intimacy with my experience in life with emotional and physical intimacy, I think you'll realize that there's not going to be very much difference between the two. In fact, there will be a lot of equity here. But let's talk about the first one. In my teenage years, when I first moved to Dallas, I had a couple of friends, and one particular girl that I was friends with for a couple of years. I'm not really even sure when it turned into a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, but it did over time. And it was perfect for me because, even at that age, I was much more interested in emotional connections than I was with a physical connection. So we had, several years of getting to know each other before the idea even showed up of being like boyfriend and girlfriend. The thing was, there were 3 major things about that relationship that caused it to be kind of non-traditional, if you will. One was the fact that she was very religious. She went to church twice a week. She really believed in the church and the church's teaching. And I don't know how familiar you are with Protestantism in America, but, we were founded by religious refugees from Europe, primarily the Puritans. And for those people, physical intimacy, primarily sex and other, things that are involved in physical intimacy were things to be ashamed of, things to be hidden behind your back, things that you just didn't do, things that good people didn't do, things that people who wanted to go to heaven didn't do. So we were dealing with that. So we were together for a really long time with no effective physical intimacy at all, just because of, how she felt, which to me was a mental illness, but, that's my personal opinion. And then during this relationship, my father passed away, and so that kind of threw a wrench in everything for a while because she didn't know how to respond. I definitely didn't know how to respond, and so we lost a lot of time there. And then not too long after that, she was diagnosed with a pretty serious illness. She developed an autoimmune disorder called lupus, and it was pretty serious. She nearly died a couple of times, but the same thing kind of happened with the loss of my father, where I didn't really know how to respond. She didn't know how to respond. We were both really young, 21, 22. Our prefrontal lobes aren't anywhere close to being developed. Our impulse control, our logic centers are nowhere close to being developed. And so, over the course of this 3 to 4 year relationship, there really wasn't much to be had in the way of emotional or physical intimacy. And over time it just kind of petered out. There wasn't any major blow up, of, oh, hey, I hate you, I'm going to quit seeing you. No, it was just an extremely gradual growing apart, and it kind of happened without us even noticing it. It was quite odd. It's not like what you would see in the movies or a TV show. And so I made it through that whole relationship with no real idea of emotional or physical intimacy. There was some, but as I got a little bit older and we went along, I started to kind of slowly realize that I wasn't interested in spending the rest of my life with a conservative Christian girl. But so emotionally I got less comfortable with her, which meant that I got less interested in being physical with her. And I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I think in time it will, once you realize my personal character traits, if you will. So yeah, that ended, and so yeah, I went through that whole experience with still pretty much just the same amount of experience with intimacies of both types, which quite frankly wasn't very much. I mean, I was 18 years old when her and I started dating. And of course, I was dealing with my own problems. After the loss of my father, it was a challenge. And so then you're talking another 5 to 6 years before I even met the lady who would become my wife at the time. And so I met her, and we had an on again, off again relationship, and there was some physicality, and there was some emotionality. I don't know, is that even a word? There was some emotional connection, and then there was a little bit of physical connection. But like I said, it was kind of on again or off again, and I wasn't interested in anything physical until the emotional developed to a certain point where I would feel comfortable with her. And then she left the country, and then she couldn't come back, and over the course of time we started to realize that we kind of liked spending time together, so we started making plans to get her back over here, and we got married. That was part of it. And I can't sit here and say that we had a loveless marriage. I can't say that we had an abstinent marriage, and it definitely wasn't a a marriage of convenience at its heart, even though it might have appeared that way, Um, but the thing is, I wasn't interested in being physically intimate with her if I didn't feel emotionally comfortable with her. And because of her personality, there were a lot of times where I just didn't feel emotionally comfortable with her. Now I'm not gonna, go into why she was the way she was. I mean, I could easily just, say it was a cultural thing, but um, the truth is there was quite a lot of friction in our marriage and our day-to-day life, and anytime there was friction where I didn't feel happy or comfortable in the situation, then I would not be interested. I wouldn't initiate anything physical, and because of her personality, she would sometimes attempt to initiate things that were physical. But I spent most of the time just not being comfortable with her in close proximity to myself. So now we're talking. I made it through a 4-year relationship with this Christian girl, and now another 5 or 6 years with this other lady that I was married to, my wife, and at the end of those, I still kind of felt like I didn't have much experience with emotional intimacy and or physical intimacy. Um, and, there were, a few windows before my first relationship, and a few little windows in between the first and the second relationship, where there were people that were in and out of my life, and there were small amounts of emotional intimacy and small amounts of physical intimacy, but nothing that could even by any stretch of the imagination be considered long term. So um, and then after the collapse of my marriage, I wasn't interested. I wasn't looking for anybody. I wasn't looking for anything. I just wasn't. I wasn't concerned. I was just focusing on living my life. Um, I did get on a dating app one time after my marriage, and I did go out on a few dates with one lady that I met on this dating app, and she was nice, but she wasn't somebody that I could really picture, spending being with, like long term. And so I kept distance between us. We went to a few places together and hang out. Play Scrabble together, things like that. But as far as anything physical, nothing ever happened because we didn't have an emotional connection of any real depth, and without an emotional connection of any real depth, I just wasn't interested in any kind of physical contact. Outside of just maybe shaking hands or a quick hug every now and then. So basically, her and I just ended up being friends, and we're still friends. She lives down in Portland with her. She bought a house with her boyfriend, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's going great. Yeah, more power to her. I'm just glad I didn't get entangled with her, because if I would have gotten entangled with her, it wouldn't have been authentic. It would have been dishonest, because I just wasn't really interested in any emotional connection with her. And if we would have progressed to a physical intimacy situation, I I would have felt that I would have just been taking advantage of her, and that would have made me feel bad. And so, why would I be interested in doing that? Now, all of that said, we come to us. In our last conversation, you said you hadn't had any relationships, and that's understandable. Um, so, any physical intimacy that you've ever been involved with, would probably be minimal. Um, and I think what I'm just trying to explain is that there's just really not much distance between your level of experience in emotional and physical intimacy is not that different from my level of experience with emotional and physical intimacy. And even though we both probably have different reasons for that, the end result is the same, that we we have quite a bit of equity between us. And I think we will be growing and learning and exploring these levels of emotional and physical intimacy together. I think we're going to be meeting on, pretty much a level playing field. And, we both seem to be in agreement that, slow and, what was the word you used? Gradual. I really like that. Gradual. Um, Slow and gentle and gradual, not trying to force anything, letting things, just naturally happen over time as our emotional connection gets deeper and stronger than, then our physical connection can get deeper and stronger, so I'm intrigued. I am very interested in seeing how this goes. And I know I've sent a few message bombs that were pretty racy and pretty detailed and, quite frankly, pretty graphic. Um, um, but I just have a I just have a very active and vivid imagination. Whenever I think about you, I think about um, emotional connection, which for me is the strongest emotional connection I've had with anybody in my entire life. And that naturally progresses to, you know, imagining a physical connection with you. And, I'm a guy, and I have a pretty active imagination. And whenever I am, thinking about you, of course, naturally, I'm just thinking about, how I feel about you, how much I love you, the the depths of my feelings for you, and and your feelings for me, and that naturally leads to thoughts of physical intimacy with you, and yeah, I think I've said that before. I think about it quite often, um, but it comes from it grows from this deep pool. I envision it as a mountain lake, um, a smooth glass top mountain lake of unimaginable depth, and really cold, crystal clear water, which to me is how I visualize the depth of my respect for you as another human, first of all, and as a woman, second of all. And and growing from that is my desire for you physically, you know. So, um, does any of this make any sense? I don't know. I'm just kind of talking. Um, but now, hopefully, you will understand how I could have traveled the entire world and have been in close proximity to all the world famous, nasty places, the back alleys of Dubai, Campo Alegre in Curacao, the Orchard Towers in Singapore, Walking Street in Pattaya, um, pretty much every street in Busan, and quite a few streets in Norway. That's hard to believe, but you know, all the way down to just the massage parlor down the street from the electrical warehouse for my company down in Houston, Texas. But no, I've just always avoided those situations because there's no emotional intimacy. It's cheap, and I've always felt disrespectful. Um, Not that I have anything against, sex work or just physical intimacy in general. It's just not something that I've been interested in outside of the context of a relationship, a deep emotional connection um, where I feel love for the other person. I don't know where this comes from. I do know that makes me unique among my peers. Um, I have never been on Tinder, which is, pretty much just a hookup app. I've never hooked up with anybody. I've never had what I would call casual sex with anybody. It's just something I've just never been interested in. When I was younger, I would think about why. I thought maybe it was some sort of mental defect, but um, no, it was just my personality. Um, so I haven't always wanted to share my life with somebody else. Um, like I want to share my life with you, and I definitely haven't wanted to share my body with somebody else the way I want to share my body with you. Um, so yeah, hopefully I've been able to explain a little bit more about my personality and my character traits when it comes to emotional and physical intimacy. At the end of the day, what I want to say to you is, um, when it comes to emotional intimacy, I haven't felt this way for anybody ever. The way I feel about you, um, when you first wrote me that message in April, I didn't foresee this getting to this point. I mean, I'm immensely glad that it has, and I've pretty much come to the conclusion that it was fated to happen. Um, and I'm really looking forward to probing these depths of emotional connections and intimacy with you. And then along with that also comes physical connection and intimacy over time. Um, as we feel more comfortable with each other and ourselves and our responses to the other person. Um, so yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this adventure. This is an adventure for me. I've never been in this situation before. I've never felt this way for anybody before. You are you are unique. You are special. Um, Sometimes whenever I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking about how unique and special you are and my feelings for you. I get I get emotional. I get what's that Yiddish word? Verklempt, verklempt. My eyes kind of start watering. My chest hurts. I get a lump in my throat, and normally things like that would be uncomfortable, but for me they're not uncomfortable. They are welcome. You are welcome. I want to share myself with you. I want to be fully transparent with you. I want you to know, everything there is to know about me. I want to be an open book. That's why yesterday I said, hey, if you had questions after our conversation, write them down so that you don't forget them, and then you can ask me later, either over video or a video call or in person, whatever. Um, but yeah, I think about you constantly, all the time, all the fucking time. And it's great. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And then, when it gets dark outside and, the world is quiet and my brain starts, going to random places and my filters start, coming down, then yeah, naturally my brain turns to um, racy subjects, a physical intimacy descriptions, which some of them feel a little overly explicit, but you don't seem to have much of a problem with them. And I think I even specifically asked you that yesterday. And no. Reading your facial expressions today seems like you're perfectly cool with it. And in your text message saying, we're just exploring each other. That's true, and I would like us to continue exploring this emotionally and physically, and until we get a chance to see each other. It looks like I have enough air miles right now that I can go to New Zealand 2 times completely free, minus housing costs, which, will something that I'll have to deal with. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this journey with you. I'm all in. I'm committed. I'm taken. I changed my Facebook status and blasted it to everybody on my friends list, and so yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. I'm ready to share myself with you, and hopefully you are ready to share yourself with me. And I'm ready to share myself with you fully, mind and body, and hopefully, you feel the same. And yeah, I think we can make this work. I just, I just love you so much, and it hurts. It hurts. Like yesterday when you sent me that picture of that guy dressed up like Where's Waldo. I was like, oh, she sent me a picture, and then I looked and I was like, oh, it's a picture of some dude dressed like Waldo. But it's, those are things that I'm dealing with. I still have plenty of other pictures of you that I can look at before bed. And now I have 3 videos, 2 of which actually have sound and good video quality that I can watch anytime I want. It's great. It's not the same as being on a video call with you, but it's nice. It's really nice. It makes me happy. You make me happy. You make me happier than I ever thought I could be, or that I ever deserved to be. If you'd asked me 10 years ago if something like this would have been possible, I would have said no. Why would you say something as inane as that? It just doesn't make any sense. But now it makes a lot of sense. And I guess I'm probably finished rambling. I'm going to, yeah, I'll probably upload this. There probably won't be any edits. I can't think of anything I need to edit out. Um, I just want you to know how I feel about you and how I feel about us. Until later. Goodbye, Jet.